666 Satan! 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 Hail Satan! Oh man, what can I say about this series? Oh, I feel so bad for its creator. He had so much going against him. Not only did he release this series a couple of years after his brother, Masashi Kishimoto, this is, that Masashi Kishimoto. This is his brother, Seishi Kishimoto. And, they had such similar styles. The whole demon within and blah, 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 three-man team between, the main character, Geofried, the girl character, Ruby Crescent, and the friend character, Ball. But it was like they went about things so much more differently. Like even the mentor character, Kirin, ended up being so similar to Kakashi, but it was different. It was different. But I feel like had he released this series maybe 10 years after the fact, might have been done a lot better. Honestly, because they were raised together, they have similar styles, and honestly, all things considered, 666 Satan, or as it's called in non countries that would have an issue with someone calling a series 666 Satan. Like, come on, man. No, at least Blue Exorcist, despite the fact that it had literally Satan in the series, had the good sense not to put it in the title. So it got renamed O-Parts Hunter in the West, specifically because O-Parts are basically the power system of the world, at least in the beginning. You had these equipments or weaponry that were attuned to certain people, and they were O parts, and you were an O parts technician, all that good stuff. And they went around finding different O parts and all that. It was a young boy with a demonic other side traveling around with a blue haired girl who was kind of cute. It was very Dragon Ball. Like, where you could say Naruto took certain things from Dragon Ball, 666 Satan took a lot from Dragon Ball. Like, whereas the other Kishimoto, Masashi Kishimoto, had the good sense to try to do his own thing and develop things in his own way. Seishi, not so much. He was trying to make Dragon Ball, but at the same time, not. It was a weird situation where he wanted to make a more extreme version of it. Take Dragon Ball and combine it kind of like with Final Fantasy, basically. And for the most part, when the series began, it was actually pretty fun. You know, it wasn't as hardcore and as edgy as you might think it would be, except for when, of course, when Satan came out. But the more you got into the series, the more contrived it really kind of got. I started reading this series back in high school, and I was intrigued, from the brother of the creator of Naruto. That was gold when Naruto was starting to come out, but it just didn't have that same flair. It never had that same hook, and it might just be because it never really, got that tournament arc. That was the thing about the likes of, hell, Dragon Ball and Naruto. Once you got to the tournament arcs, the World's Martial Arts Tournament, the Chunin exams, versus. People love that kind of stuff. Like these guys versus these guys. When you make a clear versus like that, it just kind of resonates with people. It gives people that moment to kind of connect with your characters. And we didn't get too much of that with 666 Satan. It did everything you think it could have done to be a good solid series, but there were so many contrivances, and the side characters never really got as much attention as it feels like they could have. It wasn't a bad series. It just never lived up to the hype that it could have had. And honestly, it's honestly suffers from the same things that ended up being the downfall of Masashi Kishimoto's other work. And I talked about it on this channel too. Um, Samurai 7. You know, a series that in theory should have been good, all things considered, but just didn't have the staying power. It wasn't a standout enough series. It just felt like an average shonen that was kind of okay. The only thing that really would have ever saved this series would have been a great anime. And in a little over 5 years of being produced, it never got anywhere. Which is a shame. Again, it wasn't a bad series. It just didn't stand out as much as it could have. You know, Seishi Kishimoto needed a hook, something to really draw people in, to think about this world and how it worked, and he never quite got there. Well, that was the thing about Dragon Ball too. When it started out, it wasn't really popular. It was only when you got to tournaments and rivalries that it really started to build and have that true draw. When you start to make your villains kind of fascinating as well, and people you really want to see taken down, it just never quite had the staying power that I wish it could have. And I feel so bad for Seishi Kishimoto because he's basically been chasing his brother's tail for the longest time. But with each new work he tries to pull out, it just never quite builds to anything. He's tried his damnness with work after work after work. You know, Sekadushi, Avengers 09 or something like that. It was okay. Nothing too memorable. Mad Chimera World, freaky, wild, but at the same time, just it had a gore factor to it, but that didn't last either. You know, the Crimson Wolf and the Trap Sheep, interesting in concept, but never quite got that staying power again. You know, and Blaze Driver, like that was probably one of his longer works, and even that just never got the attention that it needed. I don't know, man. Something about his work always comes up hollow. He always tries his best to make a series that seems worthwhile, but it never goes the distance. It never develops well enough. There's never a draw. Maybe it's his characters. Maybe it's the plot lines. Maybe it's just that, you know, while he is a decent enough artist, I don't know, there's just something about his work that never quite cuts the mustard. Who knows? Maybe one day in the future he will find something that really resonates with people. But up until now, he just hasn't found that special thing. Tell me, do you remember 666 Satan, O Parts Hunter? You know, did it resonate with you at all? Do you wish it would make a comeback? It was honestly his best work to date. His most notable work, honestly, but I feel that a lot of that ends up just coming because of the title. 666 Satan. That's a hard to forget name. But why is the series just so hard to remember? Till next time. Bye bye.